everybody! Welcome to Flash on Target. That was just as unexpected for me as it was for everyone else. Totally didn't expect to go live at that exact moment. That was super strange.
It's amazing. You can find us online at StayOnTargetPodcast.com.
That's right, Chris.
As John said, this is Flash on Target. We're talking about the sound and the fury.
The sound and the fury.
So I'm just going to be straight up here, John. I was not a fan of this episode.
So I had similar feelings about some of the elements of this episode. So looking at the 2 episodes in, we're 2 episodes in from the mid-season point. Last episode was awesome. I really enjoyed it. This episode actually dealt more with the ongoing story and the mystery of the Flash, but I didn't enjoy it as much because the beats didn't work at some points. So think about this. We had the crossover episodes with Arrow and Flash, right? And on the Flash episode, we really didn't see the bad guy. We had an underwhelming climax of that episode. There was no real, capture of the bad guy, that sort of thing. I think they similarly truncated this battle that really didn't feel that intense. I mean, it's really weird how this one shook out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not even that for me. We spent so much time on these stupid flashbacks that literally meant nothing in the end. Yeah, it kind of explained the backstory behind whoever that guy was called. Hartley. It explained the backstory behind him, but no one cares. He is largely inconsequential to the plot. He says he knows Harrison's big secret. Whether he knows or not, I don't know.
Well, knew the big secret that Harrison knew that he knew was that he was warned before the reactor went off.
Right, and that was one of them. But does he know the big secret?
Does he know that Harrison wanted it to go off and knew it would go off?
Or does he know that Harrison can actually walk? Does he know that he is possibly, the Reverse Flash?
If he was there up on the roof or anywhere near, he obviously knows that he can walk because at the very beginning of the episode, he was walking around in his house.
Yeah.
Which was super weird. We hadn't seen his house ever before.
No.
Which it was nice to actually see someone on the show point it out whenever Caitlin pointed it out.
Right.
But it was super awkward. Still.
It's also okay, is he not afraid that there's anyone out there? Anyone could be outside his house
with
and
a telescope
walking around. Yeah. A reporter.
Heck, you could zoom
the
in with a satellite. You could have somebody could be flying a little drone up there. You know, I don't know.
Somebody walking their dog. I don't know. Someone's gonna see him. And
I feel like he's enough money. I feel like he's enough money to where he could probably keep people from walking their dogs near his house.
That's possible.
Other things other weird things like drones or whatever. Obviously, he's probably been in the tabloids before, I would imagine. People would probably, because he's got enough money. It's imagine he's reporters would love a scoop on him.
Yeah.
Another one anyway. And this disgraced scientist kind of thing. So it's I don't know. Him walking around in his house seemed odd, and it's whenever it first came up, I actually looked over at Catherine and I was I thought he slept in the at Star Labs or whatever, I really legitimately thought he lived there. Right. I thought they all did for some reason. I want to go and see Cisco's crib. Oh. I want to go and see where Caitlin lives.
We already kind of did whenever we saw her in that. We saw her in the parking garage. I think that was kind of supposed to be her apartment close to there.
Oh, I assumed that she was leaving. Was she at the police station right before that?
No. This is a few episodes ago. Whenever she saw her boyfriend, he was following her to her car.
That's right. We did kind of see that.
So I didn't know. I wasn't really under the impression that they all stayed there. But I knew we just hadn't seen his house.
I have this weird idea of the clubhouse, the Flash clubhouse. Let's all just. It's a giant. I feel like they would have hammocks strung between the reactor cores, and
that seems wildly dangerous for no reason. But yeah, us, wow. I really felt like Hartley had was very inconsequential to the overall plot. The biggest development was that we saw Harrison actually run really fast, and that he's trying to either regain or gain speed.
So he is the Reverse Flash.
Maybe. We don't know that, though.
We don't know that he's the final form of the Reverse Flash yet in this show. I think that we know that he, because he has the suit, right? So how would he get the suit otherwise? And he he ended up with that we know that he has the tachyon something or other.
Right. Which we already knew that.
Yeah, we already knew that. And, but now that we've seen him run fast, is this a new development from him using the tachyon device? Mm-hmm. Or is this something that he's been able to do all along, but the tachyon device just stabilizes it? There's a lot of weird things having to do with this, because at the end of the episode, it kind of fails him, and he falls over and he can't really do anything. He's at the mercy of Hartley for a while there.
Right.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that I have regarding to his speed and actually, like, where are they going with his character right now? Because if he is the Reverse Flash, he's obviously not faster than Barry.
Right.
And he obviously was in the same room as himself, so it's like, we gotta insert time travel here somewhere if he is actually the Reverse Flash.
Here's I think the kicker, though. Who is the most interesting character on the show right now?
Harrison, for sure.
Yeah. Is this a show about Harrison? This is a show called The Flash.
Yeah.
And largely, The Flash is taking a back seat, especially in this episode.
Well, in this episode, because we're dealing with a lot of Harrison's past. We're dealing with someone who's come back to haunt him.
Yeah.
And is just trying to get to him
Yeah.
through Barry.
And this is the first time that I feel like I've seen the show start to make some drastic missteps that could have multiple consequences in future episodes, because you have Joe focusing Eddie on investigating Harrison, and it's like they're going to span this over several episodes, but I don't know that I care.
Yeah.
I just want the questions answered, and I want to see the Flash do his thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I would have almost rather than kick the mystery ball for a little bit longer than they had, because we've got how many episodes left here? I mean, if they're going to do like 20 episodes or so, we've got now another 10 episodes on top of this that we're going to be dealing with this now. Like,
right.
Who's going to find out his secret? Who's going to find out first? How are they going to find out? I mean, all of that is good and all, but it's like, I almost think that prolonging that side of a mystery of like us knowing, I feel like we're going to get to the point where it's like, how do you guys not know? We're gonna look at these people and insert our own, the fact that we know, insert our knowledge onto those characters and project that and say, how do you not notice that he's pure evil?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the danger we run.
I don't know where, like, it just depends on, like, okay, where are we going in this season? Like, are we going to end up with a final showdown between Captain Cold and his gang of thugs and the Flash? Are we going to end up with some kind of showdown between the Reverse Flash and him? Are we going to end up with a showdown between Harrison and him? Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
And let's kind of try to get some clarity on that, because honestly, like, all this behind the scenes, like, we're finding out all these cool, well, not even really cool things. It's just we're finding out all this information about Harrison or Captain Cold or something like that, and we're not focusing on, like, the reason I want to watch this show,
which is the relationship of Barry and everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. I want to see more of that. And this episode, we did a little bit of that, but it was him and Harrison. And it wasn't much. Like, it was on this, very basic level where he says, we're colleagues at the beginning. And Barry was like, I was going to say we were friends, but... And then, later on in the episode, he's like, okay, so we're good friends now.
Yeah.
And so there's this manipulative thing going on there. So it's this relationship between him and Barry where, I don't know, man. It's at this point, it's just really strange to be in this perspective where we know it all right now.
Yeah.
We know a lot of things. Like, in this show, maybe there's like 2 questions that I have right now. And it's, how does Eddie tie into this? Because it seems like they've tried to hint at that.
Right.
And now he's set up to be investigating him, so something's going to happen with this.
Right.
And the second thing is, where are we going? Like,
right.
What is Harrison's end goal, and when are we going to deal with this?
Right.
Other than those 2 questions, I got nothing.
Well, like, we also retread, like, old ground. There was that moment they tried to play on, and they played it with Iris, where she was disappointed in her hero, and he was disappointed in who he thought that Harrison was. But we already dealt with that. We've already dealt with that this season.
Yeah, it's the same bell.
The fact that Harrison is not the person that that Barry thought he was, and like, why are we you're retreading ground for no reason? Like, it feels like this character has reverted, and now we're dealing with stuff again. You know?
Yeah, and the reaction of Caitlin and Cisco, man, I almost think that was, you know, they reacted really mildly to what, like, because Caitlin, like, she for all intents and purposes lost her husband. Like, didn't they just get married and they were about to go on their honeymoon? Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, they were married, right? Or were they just, like, I don't know. I thought they were going to go on some vacation.
No, they were just fiancé.
Okay. So she lost the love of her life, and
it's Harrison's fault.
It's Harrison's fault, and he knew. You know, and he had reason to believe that this wasn't going to be safe.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, and so, like, I almost think that, like, the reaction that they had, because at the end of the episode, you know, they're still all working together and helping Barry out, but it's all for that. I don't know. The happy family thing doesn't really shake right now with me.
Not at all. And like, I said out loud whenever I was watching this episode, and Joe told Eddie to go investigate him. I was like, good.
That's what I did too. That's the exact word. I was like, yeah, good, of course. You know,
because it's stupid. Yeah, they're just kind of like following him with blind faith, and it's like, he's done nothing to gain your trust. He's only broken your trust over and over and over again. Like, how long is it going to be before you don't trust this guy anymore?
Yeah,
because you shouldn't.
It's going to be, you know, it's interesting. Like, I feel like Joe is the one who is looking at this thing objectively, where he kind of like got this weird vibe from him at one point. Mm-hmm. And Joe's the kind of guy where he's like, if there's like some peeling paint, he's just gonna chip at it until the whole thing is exposed then, you know, or like it's all up in the open. So I really am excited for how that shakes out, because I love Joe as a character. Mm-hmm. Actor's awesome. And just his dynamic with the antagonism between him and Harrison, it's just so good.
Yeah. And
I want to see more of those relationships happen. We introduced this new relationship with Hartley and the Pied Piper. I love bringing in the Pied Piper. I like the actor that they chose, but the way that they presented him just wasn't as compelling as it could have been.
I just didn't care about him or his backstory or his relationship to Harrison. If he had some kind of relationship to Barry, I would care.
Yeah.
But because he didn't, like, we've talked about this before.
That's right.
About how the characters on this show, like, if they have some kind of relationship, no matter how small,
that's true,
or tentative, with Barry, they, like, it just feels like they mean everything to this show. Like, they have a purpose in this larger universe.
Yeah, it's like you instantly and just innately just trust them and go, hey, I'm good, you know, or trust that they're there for a reason, basically. You know? Yeah. I agree. It's like he just didn't feel right. And until he, you know, makes the connection, finds out maybe that it is actually Barry under the suit, and can build a relationship with him, I don't see how he becomes that compelling.
That's my other big question. Like, they keep bringing these villains back to the back to Star Labs, and like,
you don't know what the end game is there.
No, they're being really sloppy with both the identities of Cisco and Harrison Wells.
Well, you already had Caitlin get kidnapped by Captain Cold and Heatwave last episode. So it's like, obviously this is not proprietary or confirmation or whatever information. It's not confidential information here.
Or like,
they're just publicizing it left and right.
Well, he's taking pictures and giving them to Harrison, you know, with his suit on, with his
that
mask
was
off.
Hilarious.
It was hilarious how it happened, but it's like, this is a stupid thing to give somebody. And then, you know, all it takes,
I was like, what are you gonna do? Put that on your like nightstand? It's like, no way, you can't do that. You're gonna burn it immediately, Harrison.
Somebody's gonna come over to your house, you know, for lunch.
Eddie's gonna come over to your house investigating you.
Yeah, he scoured your house and he's gonna find some picture with Barry Allen.
Which I will say, Harrison is lucky that he doesn't keep his secret room with the suit and everything, and Gideon, the computer, there in his home. He keeps it at Star Labs, which is one reason why I thought he lived at Star Labs. Because wouldn't you keep your like secret compartment in your house, like, or secret? Wouldn't you keep your secrets near where you sleep?
I'm still not. No, But I'm still not.
You mean you don't put all your confidential like things under your mattress, Chris?
I do not.
Maybe I should move those.
All my computer passwords. I'm still not convinced that Harrison Wells, that suit is functional, that he's ever worn it, and that it's ever done anything.
You know, I don't know that right now. I don't think it probably has. I think you're right, because it's like he wouldn't be able to outrun Barry currently. And another thing that I noticed in this episode is that the lightning bolts that come off of Harrison whenever he runs are red.
Well, right, we've already mentioned that several times.
But they're not Harrison, I mean.
Yeah.
And the Reverse Flash, they are yellow.
No.
Yeah.
They're red. That was the whole point.
Oh,
is
I
that
see.
The Reverse Flash is
I see what you're
red,
saying.
and Barry's yellow. And that's whenever his mom got killed, they were both there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like both red and I see
red
what you're
and
saying.
yellow.
Yeah, so we need to insert some other. I mean, maybe it's somebody fighting to keep him from doing it. I don't know. There's a lot of options there as well. I don't know, man. It's there's a lot of twisted stuff going on.
Yeah.
I just don't know where we're going, and it's this show being so episodic as it is, because again, we don't see the same characters over and over again. We don't deal with the same plot lines like 2 episodes in a row most of the time. We deal with completely different plot lines. We bring in completely different kind of what do we call it? Just like they did in Smallville, the Freak of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of times it suffers from that a little bit. So because of all of that, I have no idea what to expect, and I have no idea where we're going here, and I don't know how that gets a little bit better.
Well, how do you feel about Iris and her new reporting job?
I liked it, but I thought it was pretty cheap. There's an element whenever Harrison calls out to her and asks for her opinion,
right?
And then this other reporter asks her what was that, and she says gumption, and it wasn't like, and he's like, oh, I'm impressed. But it's like that seemed like a really it was a cheap thing to do to her character from like a writing perspective. It was just like it cheapened what could have been a really cool thing. Like if she'd really gone out of her way to beat him out of a to beat him out of a scoop or something like that. It kind of cheapened that arc to me. What did you think?
I mean, that I wasn't so like that didn't bother me as much because like I think it did 2 things. It illustrated that okay, she has enough quote unquote gumption to do that job, but she also doesn't have enough intelligence to even come up with her own original question, because all she did was repeat the question and support him. And so she's still there. She's still there as a supporting. I mean, they have not as much as they've included Iris in this. The writers of The Flash have not made her look like she is intelligent and really knows what she's doing in terms of reporting. She writes this blog. She kind of talks about these sightings. She delves into all these weird things. She's kind of out here on the fringe, but they've never really made it seem like she's the serious writer / reporter.
Yeah.
And they still don't seem like that. It seems like she's only fallen into this job because, and I think they're doing this on purpose, because she has this connection to the Flash, and they want that. They want to utilize that.
Yeah, and
you're using her.
Right. Well, and also like I had that feeling as well whenever she initially said, I'll answer the question, basically, kind of like, but on the other side of things, it's like where I can also see where she's coming from, where she wanted him to answer the question, where she's supporting her colleague, so she gets a little bit of like grace with him built up.
Yeah.
So she doesn't throw him under the bus and that whole thing, and also it's an element of like holding his feet to the fire, where it's like if he's asked this question and it's like the dodging the question would say, oh, what do you have to say? It almost seemed like he was dodging the question and didn't want to answer it. And so for her to do that, it did 2 things. Again, solidified her relationship with this guy because she's like, hey, I'm back in your play.
Yeah.
And then also, held his feet to the fire because it seemed like he didn't want to answer the question. Like, I had that feeling too, but I was torn and I was like, I think I'm okay with it.
Kind of. But this is the other side.
But I
almost felt from Harrison's side of things. I also thought like that he could have been calling out to her to raise her legitimacy among the reporters and who knew her, because obviously he knows she has a new job. Like Barry's going to tell him that, And so like, and he's still compassionate enough. You know, like we know that Harrison is as weird and like you just don't know like what his motivations are. He still has these moments of compassion, and I think he could have done that out of the goodness of his heart to be like, I'm going to give her a shot, and just like I'm not only going to answer a question from her. You just do it on purpose.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and also it's, you know, I definitely think that's what he did, and it wasn't like I'm avoiding the question, but in the world, like in the other reporters in the room's perspective, that would be what it would look like. But I don't know. It's like he almost seemed disappointed whenever she said, you know, hey, you know, answer the question.
That's where I got like he wanted he didn't want just a repeat of
he wanted something like more in depth or something smarter or like whatever. Yeah. I mean, I definitely see where it's like they need to do more with her character to make us feel her legitimacy, like to not legitimize her existence on the show because she's there, like she's awesome on the show, but to make her look more professional. To bring her into this professional world in a broader sense to where she seems authentic in that world and she fits, you know. And I think that was part of the point of this one, is to make her not fit, so that way it's a struggle for her to fit. But I don't know, it definitely wasn't as well handled as it could have been, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. I don't know.
I also think it'll be interesting to see in the future, like, do they try to can her after they figure out like she doesn't really have this great connection with the Flash? You know, does Barry start like coming and appearing to her and doing the whole Spider-Man thing where like he gives exclusives to her,
or the Superman Lois Lane thing, or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. So like, does that start happening? You know,
I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't know what they'll do whenever they figure it out. I think she does have a tie to it, and then, honestly, I don't know why she's so resistant to write about him and to use that anyway, because it's like,
well,
because basically you had this blog. And it was about this urban myth. And if you like have a blog about Sasquatch, and then all of a sudden Sasquatch walks down to Times Square and is like, you know, the news.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you basically were proved right.
Right.
So
I mean, but this is the thing. You think about that. All it does is prove it raises the awareness of what you were writing about. It doesn't necessarily increase your writing skills. So she couldn't get a job before, like. Honestly, all she was doing was really compiling stories like so-and-so saw this, and so-and-so saw this.
Right.
And you know, he came to me and talked to me on the top of a roof, you know, like...
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if she ever told anybody that, because, like...
No, it was on the blog. She put it on the blog.
She put that on...
Like, Barry got all upset about it.
Yeah. But yeah, I just, like, I don't see why she's so resistant to using that, the I was right type situation.
I mean, yeah, she could do that. I just don't think she has material. Like, she doesn't have anything.
It's probably true. You're probably right. Because, because, again, it was all kind of that. Because you look at, like, the things about, like, Sasquatch or about, you know, Nessie or whatever. Right. It's like, can't tell me that that's all 100% quality, you know.
I mean, so you think about, like,
narrative.
Go online and try to find, you know, like, conspiracy websites about UFOs and stuff like that. If all of a sudden aliens show up tomorrow, what do they do now? Like, well, we were right, so
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's where does the story go from there? And I think that maybe she'll discover that, or maybe she'll start tracking him somehow. I don't know. I really don't know where that story ends up.
I hadn't really thought, like, that was a thought that just came to me just now. Like, but that's kind of like, you know, she was trying to prove his existence before.
But what do you do once he's proved?
Nothing. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like, mission succeed, you know?
Yeah.
A+.
Yes. I'm done. Out.
Yeah, drop the mic. Boom, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, because it's where do you go from there? It's like, that's not I could see that as not a compelling place to, like, go as far as, like, if you're a cool writer or you're wanting to, like, change the world with your writing or whatever. Writing about something that's already done, that, you know, you're done, right. You know? So I can see how that's not compelling for her. So I can see why she's not playing that up. But you're right. They need to show a little bit more of her chops in the professional world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Do you have any quotes?
Oh gosh, you put me on the spot because I wasn't prepared. I have the quotes. By the way, I wanted to throw out, we had the Royal Flush Gang at the beginning of this episode. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped them. They were on the motorcycles. Would love to see more of them getting tough and taking out some things. That'd be fun.
Okay, so there was a Royal Flush Gang here. What in Arrow in season 1 is that the same gang?
I think so.
With the cards, like the family. It was like a.
Yeah.
Is that the same gang?
Was it season 1 of Arrow?
Yeah, that was like the 6th episode or something like that.
I don't remember that episode.
Where they had the face masks and they had the playing cards on there.
It would be the same one, yes. If they had like playing cards and they were like.
I'm gonna look that up real fast while you do quotes.
Okay. Anyway, so we have.
We didn't talk about something else. Okay, what? So something I want to talk about. I was looking on IMDb.
Yeah, that's right.
And in the goofs, there is no configuration of chess pieces that would allow Wells to go from being in check to Hartley to checkmating him with the move that Wells made. In the so-called checkmate situation, one who is checked can easily take the rook with his bishop and continue to play. A little
fun fact about the chess game that they were playing.
They didn't know how they were playing chess. There was put them on the board.
Yeah, just throw all those pieces out there.
You're in check.
Do they go on the whites or the black squares? I don't know. Anyway, so we have Cisco at the very beginning of the episode says, "We need a picture." And then Barry says, "Pretty sure rule number 1 of being a superhero is not taking pictures of yourself without your mask on." Then they finally take the picture, and he uses his super speed to press the button and be in the picture at the same time. Catches the camera before it falls over. And then Caitlin asks, "Does that count as a selfie?" And he says, "Absolutely." That was awesome. I loved that moment. Despite the fact that it is awkward that he handed him the photo, and it's like, you probably shouldn't be leaving that laying around anywhere. And then we have from Harrison, he says, "Hartley, you're still my guy, and nothing or no one is going to change that." And so super manipulative Harrison rears his head again, where obviously he knew that he was bringing Cisco in to brighten the workplace, and maybe already knew that he was going to go ahead and can Hartley. Who knows? We don't know what the timeline was there, for sure. And then we have, let me see. Okay, here's the kicker, dude. Or I'll have a couple more before the kicker. We have Hartley, who says, "I was thinking about calling myself the Pied Piper." And then Cisco says, "Hey, I come up with the nicknames around here. Although that one's not bad." That was a nice one. And then we have Iris, who says to Barry, No, I'm having the worst day ever. You can't be having the worst day ever," which was awesome. And then Barry says, "The people we admire can't always be who we want them to be." That was a nice one. And then the nice nod to Arrow that we had on this episode was whenever Harrison says, in the press conference, he says, "I have failed this city." That was pretty awesome. Did you catch that?
I did catch that.
That was awesome, man. That's basically all the quotes that I have. So, did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, so the Royal Flush Gang is the same one in both the 6th episode of Arrow and this episode of The Flash. What I was looking over, I was trying to figure out what happened at the end of the Arrow episode. Like, how did they get out of prison somehow?
I don't remember.
Like, that was back whenever Arrow was killing people. I don't know why.
Why weren't they on the list?
Why were they not just dead?
Why didn't they fail the city?
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know, dude.
I don't know.
But it's cool that these joint universes are continuing to cross over, even in the Easter eggy kind of way here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, that's it for this week. You can find us online at StayOnTargetPodcast.com. This is the end of 5 podcasts for tonight, so I'm going to go to bed after this.
Yeah!
You can find us on Twitter at ChrisWright250.
John Wright 777.
Check out our other podcasts, Arrow on Target and Stay on Target Podcast. Both great podcasts this week. And you have a lot of content.
There's a lot. Okay, so if you calculate the hourage, we did about 20-25 minutes per episode here, 30 minutes on this one. So it's probably roughly 2 to 3 hours. It's about 3 hours of podcast. You can listen to us blabber on and talk about awesome things. Yep. So, yeah.
Well, that's it for this week. We'll see you next time on
Flash on Target.